Welcome back to another battle report, folks. Another game in our late war Eastern Front Bagration warm-up. If you've been seeing my other videos, you'll know we're doing these games in anticipation of the Bagration German book coming out. So we're going to be using, in the meantime, D-Day German. And when we come to doing our little campaign, the linked campaign that you find in this book, we'll see some different kind of lists up against the Soviet lists. Now, you may also have seen the video I did recently on some of the Soviet Bagration lists that we're going to be using, and this is one here. This is the Heavy Assault Gun Company, and we're going to be playing it against a Grenadier Company and a fairly sort of vanilla kind of mission, the no retreat mission. We find that's a good mission for testing out the sort of core defence, core attack elements of a list, because it's very much a head-on clash with the defenders having like ambush, minefields and these kind of things. So no retreat is going to be the mission. Now I'll go through the lists because you may not have seen the Soviet one at least. You won't have seen this German one. So the core formation for the Soviets is a heavy assault gun battalion, and it has an IS-2 company command, a platoon of 4 ISU 152s, and a platoon of 5 ISU 122s, and then a hero SMG company. I've missed a base off, there's a flamethrower in there as well. Flamethrower base, so there's a couple of points going to spare. So that's core formation. Then in support they've got 3 armoured cars, which is a wild card choice, but we're quite happy that it's not a crazy totally wild card choice. And a platoon of 7 OT-34s. So these are flame-throwing T-34s. So they can shoot as a T-34 but can also do flaming. However, they motivate on a 5 and they hit on assault on a 5. So they're not all round as good as gun tanks, but they've got that extra ability to burn out defending infantry, and I've seen them do that quite well. Just depends on your dice. You still need 60s to hit going to ground veterans, and veterans will probably stay going to ground against them, but still we'll try them out, see how it goes. So these guys here, they can do bombardments, which is interesting, but the rate of fire is 1 for direct fire, so they're not going to put a lot of shots down range. Anti-tank 14, I think anti-tank 12, but only a 20 range and a 28-inch range. So the Germans can outrange them comfortably. And when you're in defence, that's quite a good tribute, because you can just defend in depth. It's not so good just sitting back when you're attacking, but in defence it can be good. So the Germans. Now, these are based around a Grenadier company. This is the core formation here. Sorry, Panzer Grenadier Company from D-Day German. So 2 platoons of infantry, company command as well. 2 platoons of infantry. In the platoons I've got the Panzerfaust upgrade, and so on the wrong size base at the moment. I've not rebased them, but the base of Panzerschreck each. And then I've got a heavy machine gun platoon, and that's the core company. It's not a lot to it, but they should be quite survivable unless they hit the wrong end of a flamethrower and get some bad luck. And then backing them up, we've got a battery of 3 Wesps with a Panzer III observer. I'm actually putting a Panzer III observer conversion together just now, so I can use one that looks better looks apart. But that's a side project, so it may be a while. And then 488s. Now these guys are actually cheaper than 4-pack 40s because the save isn't quite so good. But the right tank is very good. The range is excellent, and it's what's needed in this game. Me and Brian are quite often going to go for pack 40s in our list, but 88s I think is a sensible choice when you're coming up against so much heavy Soviet armour. The front of the Soviet heavies, for instance, the ISUs is 9. So that's 10 at range. These guys will be deploying from ambush because the big guns will have to do that at long range. And then I don't think we've actually ever used Panthers in version 4. I can't think of us having played a game. Now, there's 4 Panthers here. There could be 8 Panzer IVs, which would be very nice force to have in reserve. But in this game, Brian feels the Panthers will give him a much better chance of doing some damage because that's 8 shots, half anti-tank, 14. They'll be in reserve. Everything else will be on the table at the start, along with 4 minefields. So, not a huge force. If I get a few lucky hits, I could kill these guys, but they could absolutely hammer me in one turn, especially these guys coming in from ambush. So, we're going to go over to deployment. Let's go over the mission, just in case you're not familiar with it, if you're new to the game. So it's no retreat. Special rules are ambush and deep immediate reserves, both for the defender. So the immediate reserve, the deep reserves is really, in this case, it's going to be the Panthers because of the very nice split in points. They'll be rolling for reserves from turn 1, though, the Germans. So you can see the deployment zone. When it's looking at the table, this is the German deployment zone. Halfway line is, hold on a second. Halfway line is about this line here. So lots of nice terrain for the Germans. Importantly, lots of terrain that's difficult for tanks to move in and for infantry to hide. Very good for infantry to hide in. And then I have got a 16-inch deployment zone. So you can see I'm pretty much lined up along there. The objectives are in a nice simple 8-inch box inside. It's not one of the more complex missions. And turn 6 is a key turn. If I'm not within 8 inches off an objective by the end of, end of, defender wins rather, on or after turn 6 if I have no attacking teams within 8 inches of an objective. So I can't just sit back and try and wear them down. I've got to get stuck in. So I'll go over to my deployment. I have got, but incidentally I didn't put down any pre-ranged in markers because I wasn't really sure how I would approach, because these guys are not really all about sitting back. The assault guns, they can do bombardments, but a bombardment is an attritional thing. That could be good or bad. So this is how I've set up anyway. The Hero SMGs, Company Command, ISU 122s, ISU 152s, sitting on the hill. And then over there, we've got the armour cars and the OT-34s. I've not put everything together. That's quite often a valid tactic, especially when you're playing Russians, but it's quite a narrow avenue of approaches in this. So spread myself out and see if I can spread out the Germans' resources as well. So the attacker gets the first turn in this game, so we're ready to go. So I'll come back at the end of my first turn and take it from there. So, objectives and German deployment. Brian placed 1 there. It's a good central position where the infantry could move out to support wherever I put my objective. And you can see he's got a platoon of infantry on top there. So I placed mine over here. It's a bit more open. And it's a nice hill to hide behind on the way up. But Brian then placed minefields like so. So I can hide behind that hill. Incidentally, this hill's only up to about that point is in Brian's deployment zone, so it's not an easy thing to put ambushes on and such like. It would be hard to put 488s on there, otherwise it would be a good firing position. You know, the height, getting over all this low terrain, negating that for cover. So he's just made this very difficult for me to get through and blocked off the entrance to the main street, though that's going to be a difficult proposition, whatever happens for my tanks, because of the cross checks. Wesps down here. Company command's in a position, by the way, so he can do motivation rerolls for both platoons of infantry. And then we observer all the way over there. He can see through these. This is just a line of trees, so he's got a good line of sight. Company command's also in a position to look over this way, or potentially to look down the road. So I shall deploy, go over that, and then it's over to turn 1 after that. I forgot to mention Brian has got heavy machine guns, 4 bases of heavy machine guns in that platoon to cover the minefields, so if I do get cocky and try and clear them with my infantry, he can mow them down as they try to clear the mines. It's always good to have some kind of covering fire over your minefields with his infantry attacking them. Soviet turn 1, general advance. These guys dashed and then managed a successful follow me. These guys tactically moved up and I kept input. And over here the armor cars led the way before the T-34s went racing past them. The armor cars are actually quite slow and the T-34s at dashing are actually quite fast. So they've got myself into some cover, which will make them harder to hit if the ambush is sprung over there. And then over here, as far as shooting goes, these guys fired. Heavy machine guns are my worry. There's a bit of, not so much a blind spot, well there is a blind spot for some of the heavy machine guns. They've got to be on the upper story here. And the upper stories can see these guys with concealment. The lower stories can't. So that was a big worry for me with these guys moving up. For instance, the cornfields wouldn't give any cover against troops that are on higher levels. The hill does give me cover, the cornfields wouldn't, so that's why I've rushed them off behind the hill. So in shooting, these guys needed 8s because of their slow firing against careful troops concealed and on the ground. They didn't get any, believe it or not. Then the ISU 152s managed to range in first attempt, which was quite effective. My artillery is usually not at all, and they managed to hit 2 of the heavy machine guns, including this critical one here, but he saved. The other heavy machine gun saved 2, and one of these bases, the guy there, he was hit, but he managed to save. So both of those are pinned down, but I'm ranged in, which might give my infantry a chance to do something about these minefields. We shall see. But that's it for shooting. There's no shooting and scooting, nothing like that at all, folks. So over to Brian for his turn 1, where he will have motivations, but then reserves. Ambushes too. German turn 1. Brian unpinned the infantry and unpinned the heavy machine guns. One heavy machine gun in that window stayed still. Another one moved to that window, and 2 more moved out of the building. One upstairs to there, and downstairs to there. Now, he didn't pop his ambush, he just decided to keep it, play cagey just now, but he did get reserves. And I'll just try and zoom in without making you dizzy. 4 Panthers came in over there. Only 2 of them were going to get shots. One of them tried to get into the wood. It wouldn't get close enough to the edge to get a shot, but it failed. So 2 were able to shoot. So in terms of shooting, the Panthers only got 1 hit out of 2, which is alright actually, and only bailed one of the T-34s. The heavy machine guns had a total of, I think, 12 shots, only got 1 hit, but the infantrymen failed to save. Then the artillery ranged in and managed to kill another couple of bases, so that platoon is pretty much smashed to bits already. It's not a very big platoon and it's kind of trapped just now. So, not too bad start for Brian there. Over to me for my turn 2, see what I can do. These guys unpinned. He didn't get back in. So in terms of movement, these I've shimmied over to the side. They're getting a degree of cover or blocked line of sight from heavy machine guns just now. Only really the ones in the front house are going to be able to get a pop at them. Company command's moved up because you can see a wisp. These guys stay still. The armoured cars have moved up. You can see the speed they move is quite incredible. The T-34s, I'm going to ground with them. He can still hit me on 6s, but I'm just going to go aground and hang out over there. And ISU 152s have stayed put. So, we can't see Brian's dice rolling, but decided why not to get our own dice rolling, my own dice rolling rather, into view. So, the 152s, first of all, got heavy machine gun, a couple of bases infantry. So, the nearest heavy machine gun a roll of 2, the other one a roll of 6. So he's got to make a save, and it's going to have to re-roll it, so I'll just roll 2 dice. He gets a 1 and a 6, firepower in these guys is 2, and I get a 4, so one heavy machine gun gone, which is almost inevitable. They're such heavy guns. So first infantry, second infantry got a 4 and a 4, so that's going to be 2 hits because these guys are careful. First guy rolls a 4 and a 5. Next guy rolls a 2 and a 5. So the guy at the back, I've got to make a firepower on him. I roll a 6. So he's away. Now, these guys are going to shoot the heavy machine guns aiming at him, so shots can spread over into there, but that's the main guy I want to kill. They're not moving, but it's long range, concealed, so 6s. 2 hits, so 1 can go on him. Brian can jump over now. I'm just going to roll that for continuity, folks. I rolls out, sorry Brian, 1, so that's going to be 1 hit here, and then I want to hit the guy who's up, and so Brian can't switch onto the guy who's down because he's already failed 1, can't then try and switch to down. So save and save, but because these are brutal guns, he re-rolls. So the first guy is fine, and the second guy, that's a fail. So I've got a 2 up firepower and a roll of 3. So try not to drop my company command off the roof. That's at least another heavy machine gun who's not going to annoy my infantry. And these guys are pinned and pinned from the artillery. Then this guy, his optimistic shot, I'll need, where is it? A 7 to hit that wisp. I got a 5, so he's fine. Shooting and scooting, I'm going to try and shoot and scoot these guys. Get a 2, who are they kidding? And that's it for me. So managed to get 2 heavy machine guns, a couple of pins and a base infantry, and giving Brian something to think about for them over there staying put. German turn 2, Brian didn't unpin the infantry or the heavy machine guns, so he's decided to pull the heavy machine guns back. They're pretty much in a shooting gallery. He wants to try and keep them alive, perhaps to finish off these guys. His wisps, he decided, get them out of sight. Might have been better to put them behind down in the first place, but he just wanted them to support the objective. But from there they can still fire nice bombardments over the top of these houses. The Panthers have taken a bit of a convoluted route around the back of that church because he's popped his ambush over there on the road. We tried to see if he could get it in here, but my armoured car was too far up. It would push everything away into that corner of the field, which was okay for shooting the T-34s, but not much use for shooting my ISUs, and perhaps a bit too close to my ISUs. We'll have to figure out if he's got, if he's far enough away to keep himself safe from bombardments, but he popped them over there anyway. And the Panthers are on the way round to deal with the ISU 122s. And in terms of shooting, the infantry have all kept their heads down. The artillery moved, so that just left the 88s. He needed 6s to hit me because it's long range, concealed and got to ground. and he never rolled above a 5. So not a very good first turn. But it would be a charge of the light brigade, suicide charge into those guns if my T-34s were to move forward. So that has kind of blocked off that flank for me just now. And also those 88s reach almost like to this point here from the current position, so that long range is quite useful. So over to the Soviets for turn 3. So motivations, the T-34 got back in. As you can see, they're not where they were. Ridiculous speed these things can move at. In terms of movement, the armoured cars moved up to the tree line there. They dashed all the way back to there. They're now well out of range of anti-tank guns. And on that point, that's one thing that you can always do when you're faced by anti-tank guns, dependent on terrain and mission and such likes. If they pop in front of you and you're mobile, you can run away. This here would have been the best place for Brian to pop his ambush, but he was very conscious of the fact as soon as he did it, he'd be very exposed to artillery. So he's just decided to use it to hold that flank and put the weight of the game onto the shoulders of the Panthers. These guys, as I said, keep moving up. They've got the scout rule, so they've got a degree of protection, but I reckon those 88s will have some target practice with them. Over here, I'm motivated to go into the minefield. Only one base, the silly commissar, set off a mine, but he's saved. So next turn I'm in a position, if I'm still alive, to lift the minefields. And then we're going to go over to shooting. So, the ISU 152s, I've only got one base in position to under the template, so let's see what they can see. So we've got a pretty good view. They could put it right down here and start wearing them down. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to start first of all by firing the 122s, and I'm going to try and get the company command because he's currently spotting for the Wesps. So this is a fat chance, but I'll give it a go. I need 7s. Well, no chance. So I think the 152s are going to try and range in there. And I'll do it in such a way, let's see if I can get a template. 1 second, folks. I can get 2 bases of this platoon if I range in here. So first attempt is a 5, so I've done it again. The 152s are on target. So company command, second in command. The second in command's taking a hit. He rolls a 4, so he's okay. And then platoon command and other infantrymen, they're fine, they're not taking any hits. My company command is going to take a pot shot at Brian's company command, make it personal, and it's going to miss. So, let me see, that's really going to be it then for the Soviets. These guys have only got a 4-inch range, so they can't be doing any shooting. So over to Brian now to see if he can readjust for the changed axis of my attack. German turn 3, the infantry unpinned, the heavy machine guns didn't, but they've moved into this building. One Panther got bogged, moving over here. The 88s stayed put, they're not going to move at all now, unfortunately. They fired and missed again. You just need 6s. They've had 16 dice and they've not got a 6 yet. But over here, the heavy machine guns killed 2 and the MG bases killed 3. There's nobody left alive in the minefields to clear them next turn. They're all dead. So I'm not going to be making much progress there. That plan totally screwed. They've got so many hits, it was a nightmare. There was something like 13 hits from this unit on them. So they got absolutely smashed to bits. There's a flamethrower base standing there going, we're in charge now, are we? We'll see if they stick around for next turn. So that's a bit of a sore one for me. Kind of stops the attack. in its tracks. We'll see what I can do next turn with these nasty Panthers coming to get me. See what happens to this little flamethrower team who's wondering how he suddenly became the commander and where everybody else went. So he's got to unpin, and he rolls a 6. Oh, he's got to stay, and he rolls a 6. This guy is destined for glory. Right, so on with Soviet turn 4. He was unfortunately in the way where he was, so he's moved over to the side. We'll see if Brian wants to finish him off or just let him wither away. He stayed put. These guys all moved up into a hold down position. You can see before where, like, I've got a hold down position here now. Brian could have placed a minefield in such a way that I wouldn't be able to go hold down without going into the minefields, but placing where he did allowed him the maximum number of shots into my infantry as I tried to clear them. So it's like I could have cleared them from the other side and been out of sight. As it was, I probably went in a bit too early and cleared them a bit too early, but there you go. Imagine me being aggressive. So they've moved up anyway. These guys have dashed around from over here. They have stayed put. The armour cars 2 managed to get over that tree line, one got stuck. They're probably being really stupid, but you know, they're so slow that they might as well be heading somewhere they might do something useful. So it's over to shooting now. So currently the only things I can really shoot at are infantry. So I've got my artillery that was ranged in already. I'm just going to check what's actually in here. I think I've been forgetting about some infantry. Let me see. Yeah, there's a base of infantry in there that's also going to be under the template. So, 2 bases actually. Company command is missed. Secondary command is missed. Infantry, one of those infantry is hit, the one at the back there. So I roll 2 dice because it's got to reroll successful saves. 1 fails, and I get a 3, which is enough. They're a 2 up. So just remove that casualty, folks. I'm doing the saves for Brian just to keep this going, but it's better if you see some dice rolling, guys. It can be a bit dull with just talking. 1 infantryman outside house is hit, so he's going to have to make saves. He gets a 4 and a 2, so a 3. It's a 2 up 5 per once again, so he's away. So command is going to just say shift it to there because he is within the bubble for everybody. Actually, you know what? I think Brian's going to have to make the Panzerschreck team the command so that he's still within 6 inches of the company command for motivations. So he stayed put. The Panthers are coming. Depending on what Brian does in terms of cross checks and things, or well, in fact you can even just go on a hill. I might as well just shoot. So he's going to fire on the main gun. He'll just attach onto these guys, and they are going to shoot them because they are not going to ground this turn. Okay, so he will need a 5 and they will need 6s because of the slow firing rule. So 1 hit from them, and then the company commander misses. So I'm going to try and place it on the Shrek. Brian will try and shift it. It gets a 2. So the Shrek's got to make the save. And this is one of those brutal weapons. He failed one of those saves because it's a reroll. So we're just rolling 2 dice. And then a 6. That's enough to kill the Shrek. So command will have to shift. I think he's going to have to forget about rerolls. We'll check it all when I can put the camera down. But commander's gone over there. And that'll be it for shooting. The armoured cars are not going to shoot. They're going to take advantage of the scout rule for these 88s that seem to have left their sights at home. So that's it for Soviet turn 4, 3 bases infantry, including a Shrek, so it wasn't too bad shooting, but here come the Panthers. German turn 4, unpinning all round. No movement here. These guys have nothing really to shoot at, so they've gone to ground. Heavy machine guns, swines, killed that flamer. In shooting, one of the 88s actually managed to use excessive force, killed that Amakar, another one managed to bail out another one, so they're in trouble. And then over here, Brian has pulled up onto the hills. The hills was, it's got protection, concealment from being hulled down, and he's outside 28 inches of my guys. Now, one tank at the end there had to dash, had to make a cross check, and then dash. The other 3 moved and fired. They all missed. He targeted these guys. The Wesps managed to range in, and I failed. I got a couple of ones, sorry. So he had a couple of chances to bail, and he got one. You know, so that might, you never know, that might count in his favour. So I've got to decide what I'm going to do. I can't shoot those Panthers because I can't. Oh, sorry, he can, but he's not going to stand up to 8 Panthers. If they all roll forward, I'll be hitting him on 6s. He'll be hitting me on 4s. 8 shots against my. Maybe I could get 4 back at him, and don't like the sound of it. So let's see what I do next. Soviet turn 5. The armoured car that was bailed got back in, and now both round there. Significantly, I'm not 8 inches at that objective, but far too close to his infantry. The T-34s dashed up here, so they're in position to make an attack next turn. Everything else jumped back behind the hill. So, in terms of shooting, the ISU 152s are going to stay ranged in and see if they can whittle down these guys a bit. There's one base from this platoon still in there, so 2 is going to be a miss. Company command, second in command, they're both hit, so company command's got to make save. He rolls a 4 and a 3. Second in command, that's 1 fail. 2 is enough to get him, so see if he can jump into the platoon. He might as well. There's a guy in that house from the platoon, and 4 will do it. So we'll take a casualty. Excuse me. From the house. Now, though he is, the second in command is now actually going to be. Well, no, I suppose you take the. It doesn't take over a base. He doesn't become the second in command. That's just a warrior save. So they're still up there. Sorry if there's any dodgy camera work there, folks. So in terms of other shooting, these guys. Now let me think. They can see the company command or the heavy machine guns. So I'm going to try and get the company command. I'm just determined to try and get them. Right. They've all got the same kind of gun, so the commander will join in. They're going to need 7s to hit because of concealment, going to ground, range. Or in fact, they're going to need 8s. Oh. So I'm assuming I need 6s here. Nah, nearly. And those hits could only be applied to them because of line of sight. The armoured cars might as well. The machine guns are out of range, or out of line of sight of the 88s. I managed to get 1 hit. Yeah, it just has to be the guys nearest to him. They get a 6 save, so they're fine. Right, so I don't think I did anything at all that turn, folks. But I don't have a lot of eyes on target. Next turn I have to really be aggressive because the victory conditions will start. German turn 5. The Panthers managed to blitz move. That was so they could get 3 of them with line of sight on the T-34s that were coming round the hill. That was a bit of a blunder on my part. These guys, by the way, never unpinned, so they couldn't launch an assault this turn. The Wesps would still be able to hit 2 vehicles, but got 1 hit and I saved. But 6 shots from the Panthers killed. They got 4 hits. There was only 3 eligible targets. Killed all 3. Oh, it's going to be tricky. That 28-inch range that I've got, but we'll see. He may have had to go into range a little bit for me in order to get the aim, but we'll see next turn. So my turn 6, I have to do something this turn to keep the game on. Soviet turn 6. So the T-34s moved up. They couldn't get close enough to do any flaming, so I tried a follow me that didn't work. Just got the commander a little bit further forward. These guys, apart from the company commander, actually managed to blitz move and got into range. We forgot that Brian could have shooted and scooted them behind the hill. But as it was, I missed anyway. Then my cars were still having a wee run around. And in terms of shooting, they all missed. They needed 6s. He actually failed his blitz. I'm not doing a... Where am I? Hold on. No, I tell you what, I'm not going to do a shoot and scoot. I've got to take the pain. These guys tried to range in, and the first time in the game they missed. That was on the Panthers. Because they could potentially do a bit of damage. So it's going to be a bit of a shootout, and me trying to cling on to here just now in the meantime. Brian's turn 6. Let me think now. These guys unpinned. Nice infantry. There was no real movement. In terms of shooting, the Wesps didn't do anything in the bombardment. It was quite hard to get anything, but the Panthers got 5 out of 8 hits, needing 5s. That was pretty damn good. So he aimed at these guys. I attached him on, and I managed to jump 1 hit over there. That was the most important guy to keep me alive. Then in terms of saves, it was a fail, then pass. But fail firepower, so that could have gone better for Brian. Loads of hits, but 1 kill at the end of it. Might not be great. He could have fired a Faust here, but he decided that being gone to ground with all these flamers was probably the better idea. And then he also decided not to shoot and scoot. He could do so and keep his Panthers safe, but then I probably would start pummeling these guys with these nasty, brutal guns. I don't know if I mentioned 1 Shrek and a Faust fired, and the Shrek hit and managed to bail one of the armoured cars. Right, so it's getting tense now, folks. We'll see what I can do in my turn. Oh, he failed his warrior save as well, so I don't have a company command. So in terms of motivation, 1 got back in, 1 didn't. The armoured car didn't get back in, but they passed their last stand. And then in movement, 1 T-34 failed a cross check, so it couldn't get close enough. Well, it couldn't get through far enough to allow all of them to flame this turn, but 3 are in flame range. And that's it. I think we're ready to go over and do some shooting, folks. So, just gathering up some dice here. Let's do some flaming. Now I need 6s to hit. So this guy going here misses. The next guy gets 1 hit. So I'll just do the other guy first, just in case. And that. Okay, so it can be either one of them. I'll put it onto this guy here. So he's got to roll 2 dice, and he saves. They're pinned down, but they're not overly concerned. This one here can use its main gunner MGs. I think it'll just use its MGs and get no hits. Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4 shots back. See, 4 against 8. It's not very good. At these guys needing... Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to try and range in with artillery first. Oh no. Oh no. No. Oh my goodness. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4 shots. Name 6s. Oh my goodness. This is terrible. And then assault. What I'm going to do is do all the movement and then we can roll some dice. Right folks, I forgot to press record when I was rolling the dice there, but 3 tanks went in. One was killed by a Faust on the way in. These guys need a 5 in assault, and they only managed a 3, I think. So they never hit anything, but then these guys rolled a 3 for motivation, had to break off. The company command not close enough for a reroll. So at least I can get a bit of progress towards the objective, though there's not much of me left. I wasn't within 4 inches of the objective at the start of the turn, so there's no prospect of me winning the game this turn. So there you go, some progress for me. German turn 6. It's all gone badly wrong in an unexpected way. All the infantry were all fine to move forward, so this house filled up with some guys from here. Oh, actually, I forgot there's one. We'll come to it, right? And these guys from here moved back in. These moved to shoot over here. The anticipation was that Brian would launch assaults and then move towards the objective. Unfortunately, these were very successful, and all 3 took a hit. 3 out of 4, because they moved. 3 out of 4. That one failed its firepower, so it's still alive. But because there's nobody within 4 inches, he can't launch an assault, which would have allowed him to push towards the objective. He's still alive, but there is a Shrek in there that moved from here. So it can shoot and roll a 2, so that's not good. So all comes down to motivation next turn. If he stays and remounts, it's game over. If he doesn't stay, it's probably game over for me, but we'll see what happens. So let's do that first of all. We'll go straight to it. So remounting, they are incidentally reluctant. Doesn't remount, so I can't take the objective this turn. Does he stay? He does stay though. Right, okay, I'll get back to oh, by the way, the Wesps also bailed out another heavy tank. So back to my turn. My turn 7. 10's motivation. 1 got back in, 1 didn't. He didn't get back in, but they stayed, and I've already seen the T-34. Now, I've got to cover the dice rolling there, guys, but there wasn't a hell of a lot left to shoot. 4 shots down range at the Panthers, who've had to come off the hill, and therefore not getting concealment from the low terrain. I needed 5s and I got 2 hits. The ammo went up to 10, but they only had a 3 and a 1. A 3 and a 2 for a save, so 2 up firepower, and they both went, so there's 2 Panthers gone. The 152s really needed to do something about his infantry because they're coming forward, and did nothing. They never ranged in again. That's my usual for artillery. But that's it. But Brian's still in a good position now to come forward, claim that, and get back onto the objective. German turn 7. Panther stayed still. 1 platoon infantry plus a company command moved up, and that was a formality, just killing it an assault because it was bailed. These guys are just staying put. They're just careful with that objective in case any madness happens. And then in shooting, the West's got 2 bails, and I rolled 2 1s, 3 hits. 2 of them got 1s. One of them was a double bail, but it stayed. But then the Panthers fired, got 1 hit, but it was enough. Enough, and I jumped onto the double bailed one, and it failed. I mean, it passed his firepower. Failed to save, it passed his firepower. Boom. Another dead ISU. So there's 1, 2, potentially 4 of them on the table. So they're okay, but I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing to win this game. So not a lot of movement from me in terms of motivation. He didn't get back in, but the armour car did. So they've moved into position for an assault, or to die gloriously. So I won't forget to cover off the shooting. So it makes sense for the 152s now to try and range in on these guys. Second attempt. There you go. I got a 6. Right. So 1, 2, 3, Right, so first guy, it's a hit. Second guy, it's a miss. Third guy, it's a miss. Company command, it's a miss. And other company command, second command, it's a hit. So, save for the guy at the front, he's fine. Second command's fine. But I'm raised in there now. If I can hang about, that might do a bit of damage. And they'll be pinned. So I've got only 3 shots going down range now. Needing 5 just for range. Oh no. Right, okay, the madness over here. So, what have we got? What have we got? So maybe 1 Faust. I'll roll that just now, and it gets a hit. So that's probably the end of that. Right, and then there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. 9, I'll just roll this. There's 1, 2, 3. So 4 altogether. So one's going to be hit by a Faust and a rifle shot. So the rifle shot saves. The Faust won't. The other guy gets 2 rifle shots and manages to save. The Faust firepower, dead. So one of them's dead. One of them comes in and it's actually managed to kill. So he's away. That'll end the assault because there's nothing within 4 inches. I'll double check it all when I put the camera down, but there doesn't appear to be anything within 4 inches, so I can possibly a bit mischievous if he can push on and maybe push the infantry back. We'll see what happens. So on Brian's turn, everything that needed to unpin did. This house has got the survivors of that platoon in it. He incidentally tried to push forward and consolidate forward and got stuck on the shell craters. And one of those nasty 88s shot him up the backside to finish him off. These guys dug in. Then in shooting, 4 shots, no hits, and for once the West didn't cause any damage. So, not sure. This is quite a few turns we've played. It's kind of looking like a draw, but we'll play another turn maybe and see what happens. So, Soviet turn, I had 1 motivation, which was this guy, and he got back in. So, let's just have a wee look at what I've got left. I've basically got 2 platoons from a core formation left. IUC 152s and 122s. Right? So, I'm going to start straight into shooting because those 2 platoons are not moving anywhere. Artillery on these guys. So, first guy's missed. Second guy for that platoon's missed. Third guy's hit. Company command is missed. Second command is hit. So, this guy here gets a 2 and a 6. That's a fail, and a 4 is enough to kill him. And then second in command, I can't remember, did he fail? No, that's it, he saves. I could be wrong, he saved. No, he failed. Got a bit confused there. He managed to get 2 saves. So 1 base died from that platoon, but they're now going to be checking. They're not in good spirits. So 4 dice, 1, 2, 3, 4 dice from these guys, needing 5 to get 1 hit. So I want to place it on the end guy, just because he's closer to the objective, so Brian can try and knock it over. A 3 does. So it's going to be a save on him. And he rolls a 5, so it bounces. I can't kill them. If I'd killed him, that maybe would have made a difference, but... Right, okay. We'll do Brian's shooting and then he maybe wipe these guys out. That might make the decision for us, but it looks like a draw. So in Brian's turn, the most significant thing was just shooting at these guys. The West didn't do anything, and the Panthers managed 1 hit. I failed to save, and it turned out to be a bail. So that's it. So I'm just going to call it there, folks. This guy here is within 8 inches of that objective. So I've not lost the game. Prevented Brian from winning it as a defender. He wasn't strong enough to push me back. partly perhaps because of this, it was very hard, if you could have even, to get a counter-attack against me. Maybe placing minefields, you have to make sure that the far side of it is not within 8 inches of your objective. That's a good learning point. As far as the rest of the game goes, well, the infantry were tough, they managed to hold on, but it was really the Panthers that saved their bacon, if you excuse the pun, because of the flamers that were coming in. I reckon the flamers would have done a fair bit of damage. Certainly it would have held those infantry off, I think, if it wasn't for the Panthers. So bringing them around was definitely the best plan, which meant I had to leave something over there, really. Otherwise the T-34s would have got into all that cover and progressed up, and who knows done what. Though doubling up the 88s and the Panthers could have been very effective as an anti-tank wall, but then I just go somewhere else. The question is, where I go, can I get within 8 inches of the objective in time to at least contest the game? But that was quite a good, rough, tough battle. My casualties are pretty bad, my poorly armoured cars, my T-34s, so I think that's probably going to be the most common outcome for them. Infantry, that wee platoon, maybe I should got to look at whether or not I want heroes or I want an ordinary platoon. We'll see. But the German infantry as well, they took a bit of a beating. One of the platoons is on the last stand. Just going to roll that now, just for interest. Company commanders with 2 6s there, quite confident they're staying. Right. But they lost quite a few from that platoon. The other one has got 1, 2, 3, 5 bases left out of the starting 8 from the other one. So they took quite a few casualties, but managed to hold on. My tough ISUs turned out to be quite tough. Certainly strong under a bombardment. It was impossible to kill them, could only bail them. And the Panthers weren't a complete disaster. I mean, everybody's not keen on Panthers, rather take a tiger than a panther. Can understand that in many different situations, but they did all right there, and they managed to hold this flank. So hopefully you enjoyed that game, folks. We're still playing, Brian's still playing at a distance. We're experimenting with all kind of things to do with live gaming. You can see here I've got like something to mount a camera on, and I've got various cameras, so we're working through how we can share games live as well as record turn by turn, but we'll see how that goes. At the moment there is some unexpected issues. Technically everything seems to be more or less fine, but then weird stuff that we never thought of, and also how we manage the games because of that weird stuff. So we're going to keep working through that. But thanks for watching, folks. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the good things that helps us build the channel and keep these battle reports coming.